Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Science. Most people think aging is something that happens to you later in life, but in reality, it's been happening since the moment you were born. Right now, while you're listening, thousands of tiny adjustments are being made inside your body, not to weaken you, but to make you more efficient. Aging isn't a single process. It's a collection of slow, intelligent decisions your body and brain make over decades. And many of the changes we fear most are actually the reason life begins to feel calmer, steadier, and quieter with time. Tonight, we're going to look at aging differently, not as decline, but as a long, invisible process of refinement. Aging is not something that suddenly begins one day. It is happening to everyone, all the time, even right now. Every second, your body is quietly adjusting itself, repairing cells, replacing old ones, and keeping systems in balance. This process is universal. It does not target certain people or wait for a specific age. A child, an adult, and an elderly person are all aging at the same time, just at different speeds and in different ways. What makes aging feel mysterious is that most of it happens silently. You don't feel cells dividing or systems recalibrating. Yet these small changes are constant. The interesting part is that aging is not working against you. It is working to keep you alive and functioning for as long as possible. Once you realize that aging is always present, it becomes less frightening. It stops being a future problem and starts feeling like a background process, steady, predictable, and surprisingly calm. Most people believe aging starts when the body shows visible signs, like wrinkles or gray hair. But aging begins much earlier than that. It starts as soon as your body finishes growing. In your 20s and 30s, changes are already happening, but they are subtle and slow. Cells still renew themselves quickly, and the body repairs damage efficiently, so nothing feels different. This early aging phase is more about fine-tuning than loss. The body begins shifting from rapid growth to long-term maintenance. This is why many systems become more stable rather than weaker. Hormones settle into predictable patterns. Emotional reactions become less extreme. Even sleep rhythms slowly adjust. These changes are easy to miss because they don't cause problems, but they matter. Understanding that aging starts early helps explain why it feels gradual instead of sudden. It also explains why many people feel mentally calmer long before they look older. As the years pass, the body slowly changes its priorities. Instead of focusing on speed and maximum output, it focuses on survival and balance. When you are young, your body pushes hard. It heals fast, reacts quickly, and burns energy freely. But that approach is not sustainable forever. Over time, the body learns that protecting organs and conserving energy matters more than being fast. This is why metabolism slows and recovery takes longer. These changes are often seen as negative, but they serve a purpose. Slower systems experience less wear and tear. Stable energy use protects the heart, brain, and immune system. The body is not failing. It is choosing a safer operating mode. This shift helps reduce extremes like sudden stress spikes or emotional swings. In many ways, this is why life can feel steadier with age. Balance replaces urgency, and that change quietly supports long-term health. Many changes that people call decline are actually adaptations. The body and brain are adjusting to long-term use, not breaking down without reason. For example, slower reaction times often come with better judgment. Reduced physical strength is balanced by improved efficiency and coordination. Even memory changes follow this pattern. The brain becomes better at keeping what matters and letting go of details that are no longer useful. These adaptations reduce mental overload. They make daily life simpler and more predictable. Instead of reacting to everything, the brain learns what can be ignored. This lowers stress and saves energy. The same happens emotionally. With experience, fewer situations feel threatening or urgent. This is not loss, it is learning. Aging reshapes how systems work so they last longer. When you see aging as adaptation, it stops looking like decline and starts looking like the body slowly learning how to rest. As people age, metabolism slows down, and this change often worries them. But this slowing is not a mistake. It is a protective move by the body. A fast metabolism uses energy quickly, creates more internal heat, and puts constant pressure on organs like the heart, liver, and kidneys. Over many years, that pressure can cause damage. By slowing metabolism, the body reduces long-term stress on these organs. Energy is released more steadily instead of all at once. This helps keep blood sugar, hormones, and body temperature more stable. The body becomes less focused on burning fuel fast and more focused on using it wisely. This shift supports long-term survival rather than short-term performance. What feels like slowing down is actually the body choosing safety. Once you see this, metabolism changes start to feel less like loss and more like a quiet form of protection. Slower energy use also changes how the day feels. When energy is released more evenly, daily rhythms become more stable. Instead of sharp highs and sudden crashes, the body prefers steady levels of alertness and rest. This is why many older adults feel fewer energy spikes, but also fewer extreme drops. The body learns when to be active and when to recover. Hormones that control hunger, sleep, and focus begin to follow more predictable patterns. This makes routines feel easier to maintain. Meals feel more satisfying. Sleep and waking times feel more regular. Even mood can feel smoother across the day. These stable rhythms reduce internal stress because the body is not constantly adjusting. When life follows a gentler pattern, the mind often follows too. That steady flow is one reason aging can feel calmer than expected. The nervous system also changes with age, becoming less reactive to small signals. When you are younger, the nervous system reacts quickly and strongly to protect you from danger. But over time, it learns which signals truly matter. As experience builds, the brain stops treating every surprise as a threat. Stress responses become more selective. Heart rate and breathing do not jump as easily. This does not mean awareness is lost. It means reactions are more measured. The nervous system saves energy by avoiding unnecessary alarms. This reduces constant tension in the body. Muscles stay more relaxed, and the mind stays clearer. Many people notice they feel less jumpy or easily startled as they age. This change helps explain why life can feel quieter inside, even when the world stays busy. Because of these changes, older adults often feel less urgency about minor problems. The brain has seen similar situations many times before. It knows that most small issues resolve on their own. This experience lowers the need to react immediately. Instead of rushing, the mind pauses. Problems are judged more calmly. This does not mean caring less. It means choosing where to spend energy. When urgency drops, stress drops with it. Small delays feel tolerable. Mistakes feel less threatening. The body supports this mental shift by keeping stress hormones lower during everyday situations. Over time, this creates a sense of emotional space. Life feels less crowded with pressure. That reduced urgency is one of the quiet gifts of aging, and it often arrives without people noticing when it began. As people grow older, the brain becomes better at filtering out unnecessary emotional noise. When you are young, every small incident can trigger strong feelings, anger, excitement, or worry. Over the years, the brain learns to recognize which events are important and which are not. It stops giving attention to minor annoyances or fleeting problems. This filtering happens naturally through experience. The more situations the brain encounters, the better it becomes at separating meaningful signals from distractions. Even small daily frustrations like traffic or minor mistakes are noticed less intensely. This does not mean the brain stops feeling emotions. It simply focuses on what truly matters, letting less important events pass without consuming energy. Over time, this process frees mental space and reduces constant tension. The brain becomes quieter inside, allowing attention and energy to flow more calmly. This filtering is one reason older adults often appear composed and less easily upset. This filtering of emotional noise leads to calmer emotional baselines. When minor irritations no longer trigger big reactions, overall mood becomes steadier. The highs of excitement and the lows of frustration become less extreme. Daily life feels smoother because emotional responses are less reactive. This calm baseline helps in thinking clearly, making better decisions, and handling problems more effectively. Even the body benefits. Heart rate, breathing, and stress hormone levels are more stable because the brain does not signal unnecessary alarms. Over time, this calm baseline creates a sense of internal safety. Emotions are still present, but they are measured and balanced. Life feels less chaotic, and challenges feel more manageable. The quieter mind allows people to focus on meaningful experiences without being pulled into constant emotional swings. This steady calm is one of the natural advantages that come with age. Emotional regulation improves as people get older, meaning they manage feelings more effectively. The brain learns from repeated experiences which reactions are useful and which are harmful. Young people often act immediately on emotion, reacting strongly to anger, fear, or sadness. With age, the brain slows these impulses, giving time to assess situations. This delay allows reasoning and perspective to guide responses. Older adults often use past lessons to respond calmly, even when faced with frustration. They become more aware of what triggers stress and how to reduce it. Over time, this skill becomes almost automatic. The brain chooses which emotions to express and which to release internally. This is why many older adults appear patient, tolerant, or composed. Emotional regulation is not about avoiding feelings. It is about channeling them more effectively. It reduces unnecessary stress while keeping important emotions alive. Studies confirm that emotional volatility decreases with age. Researchers have measured mood swings and reactions across decades, finding that older adults experience fewer intense emotional fluctuations. Negative emotions like anger or anxiety occur less often and resolve more quickly. Positive emotions remain, but they are balanced and less overwhelming. This change is linked to life experience, brain adaptation, and social understanding. Older adults often report feeling more satisfied with life and less bothered by small problems. They react thoughtfully instead of impulsively. Even when challenges appear, the response is more controlled, reducing stress on the body and mind. This steadier emotional state is not universal, but it is common. Science shows that the brain's ability to manage emotion improves over time, creating a calmer, more resilient mental state. This is one of the subtle ways aging can bring quiet strength. Repeated life experiences teach the brain to predict emotional outcomes more accurately. Each time a person faces a situation, whether it's a challenge at work, a disagreement with a friend, or a small accident, the brain takes note of what caused stress, what reactions were effective, and what problems resolved themselves. Over time, the brain builds a kind of internal library of responses. This helps people anticipate how they are likely to feel in similar situations. For example, someone who has faced public speaking many times learns that initial nervousness usually passes and that the event rarely causes lasting harm. This repeated exposure reduces uncertainty, making future experiences feel less threatening. The brain starts to recognize patterns, so it can respond calmly rather than impulsively. This process is automatic and gradual. As a result, people spend less energy on worry and more on constructive thinking, which quietly supports emotional stability and overall calm as they age. When the brain predicts outcomes more accurately, life feels less surprising, and fewer surprises lead to fewer stress spikes. Stress often occurs when the brain encounters something unexpected. Younger brains tend to react strongly because the outcome is unknown, triggering immediate tension and rapid heartbeats. With age, the brain has already seen many scenarios, so it is better prepared to handle minor disruptions. A sudden problem is often met with measured attention rather than alarm. Even external events like delays, mistakes, or unexpected news no longer trigger intense worry as frequently. This does not mean problems are ignored. Instead, the body and mind respond proportionally to the situation. Fewer spikes in stress hormones result in steadier blood pressure, calmer breathing, and lower mental tension. Predictability, built from experience, quietly protects health and creates a calmer day-to-day life. The fewer surprises you face, the smoother life feels, and aging helps make that happen naturally. Stress hormones behave differently as people age, which changes how the body reacts to challenges. Cortisol, adrenaline, and other hormones are released to prepare the body for immediate action when a threat appears. In younger adults, these hormones surge quickly, causing rapid heartbeat, tense muscles, and heightened alertness. With age, the brain learns to release these hormones more selectively. The body no longer overreacts to minor problems, conserving energy for situations that truly require it. Stress hormone responses become slower and less extreme, allowing the mind and body to remain calmer during daily life. Even when stressful events occur, older adults often feel steadier internally. This adjustment is subtle, so it may go unnoticed, but it plays a crucial role in reducing overall tension. The body essentially becomes smarter about when to react, keeping resources available and reducing the physical wear of constant stress. Cortisol spikes, which often trigger intense feelings of anxiety or pressure, become less frequent in many adults. In youth, small issues can quickly trigger a surge in cortisol, creating a rapid stress reaction. Over decades, the brain and adrenal system adjust. Hormone release becomes more measured and targeted, responding only when truly necessary. This change leads to fewer moments of panic, irritability, or racing thoughts. Daily life feels smoother because the body does not react excessively to small triggers. Steady cortisol levels also support sleep, digestion, and immune function, all of which are sensitive to stress. Many older adults notice that they can face minor problems without the rush of worry that once accompanied them. This is not weakness. It is a natural adaptation. By lowering the frequency of cortisol spikes, aging allows the body and mind to maintain calm and stability, making each day feel a little gentler than the last. All of these changes in hormone response and emotional prediction contribute to a steadier sense of calm as people age. When stress reactions are smaller and less frequent, the body experiences fewer sudden spikes of tension. The heart beats more evenly, breathing remains regular, and muscles are less tense. The mind also benefits. Fewer emotional extremes allow people to think more clearly and make decisions without being overwhelmed. Daily life feels smoother because challenges no longer trigger immediate alarm. Even small annoyances, like a delayed appointment or a minor mistake, are less likely to cause frustration. This steadiness creates a quiet sense of control, as though life is flowing predictably in the background. People are not necessarily less active or less aware. They simply feel less pulled by every small event. That internal calm can feel almost invisible at first, but it shapes a lifetime of experiences, giving older adults a surprisingly balanced and peaceful mental state. Many older people report feeling more settled, and this is closely linked to the changes in the brain and body over time. Life experience teaches perspective, showing that most problems are temporary and manageable. The body's slower reactions and steadier hormones reduce the physical sensation of stress, while the brain learns to ignore minor emotional noise. Together, these changes create a feeling of stability that younger people often envy. Being settled does not mean boredom or passivity. Instead, it means fewer internal storms, more measured responses, and a natural sense of control. Daily routines feel comfortable rather than exhausting, and challenges can be met without tension. Older adults often notice that they care deeply about fewer things, which allows them to enjoy life without constant worry. This sense of settlement is a quiet reward of experience and adaptation, giving life a softer, more manageable rhythm. Aging favors emotional efficiency, which means the brain focuses energy only where it matters most. Over decades, the brain learns that reacting to every small situation wastes energy and creates unnecessary stress. Instead of responding strongly to minor annoyances or fleeting worries, it channels attention toward meaningful experiences. Emotional energy is not lost, it is simply redirected. This efficiency allows people to handle important problems with more clarity and calm. The brain automatically decides which events are worth investing emotion in and which are better left alone. This is why older adults often appear composed even in situations that would upset younger people. Emotional efficiency also supports better decision-making, more stable relationships, and reduced daily tension. Over time, this selective responsiveness becomes automatic, making emotional life smoother without conscious effort. Aging is not just about physical changes. It is about the mind learning how to manage its own energy in smarter, calmer ways. The brain learns what is not worth reacting to through repeated experience and observation. Each time a situation turns out to be harmless or resolves itself, the brain remembers that overreacting is unnecessary. Traffic jams, minor disagreements, and everyday interruptions gradually lose their emotional power. The brain stops sending urgent signals to the body for every small event, which lowers stress and conserves energy. This process is subtle and gradual, but over decades it transforms the way a person experiences life. Fewer reactions to minor issues mean more mental space for important thoughts, deeper focus, and stronger connections with meaningful experiences. Essentially, the brain becomes an expert at prioritizing attention and emotion. What once caused anxiety or irritation no longer matters as much. This selective responsiveness supports calm, balance, and a quieter mental state. Aging teaches the brain that not every situation deserves a reaction, and that lesson is one of the keys to emotional stability. As people age, memory changes in ways that are often misunderstood. Many think that forgetting things is a sign of decline, but in reality, the brain is reorganizing how it stores and retrieves information. Rather than holding every small detail, the brain focuses on what is meaningful and useful. This reorganization allows the mind to work more efficiently, using energy where it matters most. The changes may make it harder to remember new names or minor details, but important lessons, life experiences and skills remain intact. The brain prioritizes information that supports decision-making, emotional understanding, and personal identity. This process is gradual, so it may go unnoticed for years, but it quietly shapes how people perceive and interact with the world. Understanding memory as reorganization instead of loss changes the way aging feels. Forgetting small things is not failure. It is the brain making room for lasting knowledge and deeper understanding. Short-term memory often weakens with age, while long-term memory stabilizes and becomes more reliable. Short-term memory handles immediate information, like a phone number or a new address, which can be challenging to recall quickly as the brain slows its processing speed. However, long-term memory, which stores experiences, lessons, and meaningful events, becomes stronger and more consistent. This shift reflects the brain's focus on what matters most. While minor details may fade, older memories that carry emotional significance or life lessons remain vivid. This pattern allows people to navigate life more efficiently, relying on experience and learned knowledge rather than remembering every small fact. Short-term forgetting may feel frustrating at times, but it is balanced by the stability and clarity of long-term memory. The mind is not losing capacity. It is reallocating resources to store what truly matters for life and emotional understanding. The brain also stores fewer details but more meaning as people age. Instead of remembering every small fact about an event, it focuses on the essence of what happened, the lessons learned, and the emotional significance. This approach allows older adults to extract more understanding from past experiences. Memories are organized around connections, patterns, and relevance, rather than exact sequences of words or numbers. This is why someone might forget minor details of a vacation but remember how happy or peaceful they felt. The brain emphasizes experiences that shaped identity, relationships, or skills, storing them more deeply. This selective memory helps reduce mental clutter, freeing space for reflection and decision-making. Over time, the mind becomes better at recalling what is important while letting trivial details fade naturally. The result is a clearer sense of life's meaning and a stronger connection to personal experiences that truly matter. Older memories often feel clearer and more emotionally grounded than recent ones. Events from years ago can carry vivid sensations, emotions, and context that feel stronger than what happened yesterday. The brain strengthens these memories over time because they have been recalled, reflected on, and connected to other experiences repeatedly. Emotional significance acts as a reinforcement, embedding these memories more deeply. This is why grandparents can describe events from decades ago with precision and feeling. The clarity of older memories is not accidental. It reflects the brain's prioritization of experiences that shaped identity, understanding, and relationships. Emotional grounding also allows these memories to feel stable and comforting. Recalling the past brings not only information, but also a sense of continuity and self-awareness. As memory reorganizes with age, the past becomes a reliable foundation, offering perspective and calm, while new experiences are processed more efficiently for immediate life decisions. The way memory reorganizes with age strongly supports identity and continuity. As the brain stores the most meaningful experiences, it reinforces a clear sense of who you are. Your decisions, values, and life lessons become easier to access and connect over time. This helps older adults understand themselves better because the mind is focused on information that shapes identity. Every experience, even small ones, contributes to a story that the brain carefully keeps. This continuity gives life a smoother rhythm. When daily events or new challenges occur, the mind can relate them to past lessons, creating a stable sense of self. This process reduces confusion and strengthens confidence in personal choices. Aging doesn't erase who you are. It filters out unnecessary noise so that the core of your identity remains clear. The brain becomes a library of experiences that define you, quietly reinforcing a sense of self and personal continuity. Aging strengthens narrative memory, meaning the brain organizes life experiences as a story. Instead of storing disconnected events, it links experiences in sequences that make sense and carry meaning. The brain naturally highlights important moments, lessons, and emotions, creating a life narrative that is easy to follow. This narrative structure allows people to recall events not just as facts, but as meaningful chapters in their personal story. It also helps explain patterns in behavior, relationships, and decision-making. The mind becomes better at seeing cause and effect over time, connecting past experiences with present actions. This storytelling approach reduces mental effort and supports emotional understanding. When life is remembered as a story, it feels coherent, purposeful, and satisfying. Aging allows the brain to focus less on minor details and more on the overarching plot of life, turning memory into a guide that offers clarity, reflection, and perspective. This narrative approach reduces confusion about who we are. When memories are organized in a meaningful story, the brain can quickly connect past experiences with current choices. Life becomes easier to navigate because lessons learned long ago are readily available when needed. The mind recognizes patterns in personal behavior, relationships, and emotional responses, which reinforces a stable sense of identity. Without this structure, it would be easy to feel lost or uncertain about decisions, values, or goals. Aging supports clarity by preserving memories that truly matter for self-understanding. This clarity helps people feel confident in their responses, choices, and perspectives. Minor forgetfulness no longer undermines identity because the core of personal experience is well preserved. By reducing confusion about who we are, the brain allows energy to focus on meaningful actions and relationships. This support for identity is one of the hidden advantages of growing older, quietly guiding thought and behavior with experience. A stable self-concept brings psychological rest, which is a quiet benefit of aging. When people have a clear understanding of themselves, they spend less energy worrying about who they are or what they should do. Decisions feel easier because the brain can rely on lessons learned and personal values instead of guessing. There is less internal conflict and fewer doubts about how to act in different situations. This stability reduces stress, allowing the mind and body to relax naturally. Thoughts are less scattered, and emotions are more predictable. Older adults often describe a feeling of calm certainty about their place in the world. Daily life requires less mental effort because identity no longer needs constant checking or reassurance. This mental rest creates space for reflection, connection, and enjoyment. Aging, by strengthening self-concept and narrative memory, quietly supports a calmer, more balanced mind that can navigate life with clarity and peace. As people age, decision-making often slows, but this slower pace usually improves accuracy. The brain takes more time to process information, weigh options, and consider consequences. Younger adults may react quickly, sometimes impulsively, and occasionally make mistakes because the mind acts before fully analyzing the situation. Older adults, however, rely on accumulated experience and knowledge to guide their choices. By pausing before acting, they can evaluate options more carefully and anticipate outcomes better. This slower decision-making is not a weakness. It is a form of wisdom. The brain prioritizes thoughtful responses over speed, which often results in better judgments. Even small daily decisions, like financial choices or planning routines, benefit from this approach. Over time, the ability to make measured, informed choices becomes an advantage of aging, quietly reducing errors and stress, while increasing confidence in the outcomes of those choices. Slower thinking with age often leads to fewer regrets. When decisions are made more deliberately, people are less likely to act impulsively or let emotion dominate judgment. Quick reactions sometimes cause mistakes, missed opportunities, or unnecessary conflicts. By taking extra time to consider consequences, older adults often avoid actions that could create future problems. Experience also helps in predicting how situations are likely to unfold, further reducing mistakes. Over time, this combination of slower processing and wisdom results in a calmer mental state. Life feels more predictable because fewer errors disrupt routines or relationships. Even when things do not go perfectly, older adults often reflect and learn, rather than dwell on regret. This deliberate approach allows the mind to focus energy on meaningful tasks and decisions, creating a quieter, more balanced way of navigating daily life. Aging, in this sense, improves the quality of choices and emotional well-being. Aging also changes how sleep works, altering sleep architecture in subtle ways. Sleep is not just rest, it is the body's way of repairing, consolidating memory, and regulating hormones. As people get older, the pattern of sleep shifts. Nights may become lighter, and deep sleep, which is the most restorative stage, can shorten. The body also experiences more frequent brief awakenings, making uninterrupted sleep less common. These changes are normal and reflect the brain and body adjusting to a lifetime of activity. Even though deep sleep may reduce, other sleep stages adjust to compensate. The circadian rhythm, which controls sleep and wakefulness, becomes more predictable and consistent. These shifts prepare the body to rest efficiently within shorter or more fragmented sleep periods. Understanding these changes helps explain why older adults often feel refreshed despite less total deep sleep, highlighting the body's ability to adapt naturally to aging. Deep sleep shortens with age, but it also becomes more efficient. While younger people may spend longer periods in deep sleep, the older brain maximizes restorative benefits within shorter cycles. The body focuses on repairing tissue, strengthening the immune system, and consolidating memories during these periods, making each deep sleep phase more purposeful. Even if total deep sleep hours decline, the body adapts by extracting maximum benefit from each cycle. Light sleep may increase, which allows for frequent brief awakenings without disturbing overall rest. Hormones like melatonin and growth hormone, which support recovery, are released in a carefully timed pattern, enhancing the quality of each deep sleep segment. This efficiency ensures that, despite shorter sleep, the mind and body still recharge sufficiently. Aging in this way teaches the body to work smarter, not harder, in sleep. The result is rest that feels balanced and restorative, supporting calm energy throughout the day. As deep sleep shortens with age, the body compensates by using lighter, more frequent rest periods throughout the night. Instead of relying solely on long, uninterrupted sleep, the brain and body take advantage of brief cycles of light sleep to recover and recharge. These shorter rest periods allow the body to maintain energy, repair tissues, and consolidate memory even if deep sleep is limited. Frequent shifts between sleep stages help keep hormones, metabolism, and immune function stable. Older adults often awaken briefly during the night, but these awakenings are part of the body's natural adjustment rather than a problem. By breaking rest into smaller segments, the body can still achieve restorative benefits without long, continuous deep sleep. This adaptation ensures that, despite age-related changes in sleep, energy levels, focus, and overall calm remain consistent, supporting a balanced daily routine. Aging teaches the body to recover efficiently using smarter patterns of rest. Daytime calm often increases as sleep patterns change with age. As the body spreads restorative processes across multiple sleep cycles, energy becomes steadier throughout the day. Fewer extreme dips in alertness occur, and moods feel more balanced. The brain has learned to anticipate rest periods, even if sleep is interrupted, which reduces daytime tension and fatigue. Older adults may notice that minor frustrations no longer feel as draining, and that mental focus lasts longer. This calm does not happen overnight. It is the result of years of sleep adaptation. Even when total sleep time decreases, the body and mind maintain a smoother internal rhythm. Daytime activity feels more controlled, emotions are steadier, and the body avoids sudden stress reactions caused by poor rest. Aging quietly improves how sleep and wakefulness interact, creating a sense of calm and stability that supports both physical and mental health. Rest becomes distributed rather than concentrated as people age, meaning the body no longer relies entirely on long, uninterrupted sleep at night. Instead, recovery is spread across multiple cycles of light and deep sleep, sometimes including brief daytime naps or relaxed moments. This approach reduces the pressure to achieve perfect, lengthy sleep, making rest more flexible and less stressful. Distributed rest also allows the brain to process memories, emotions, and physiological repair more efficiently. Each shorter sleep segment contributes to overall restoration, so the body gains the same benefits it once achieved through longer, concentrated sleep. By spreading recovery across several periods, the body reduces strain and maintains balance in energy, mood, and focus. This strategy is a natural adaptation, showing that aging is not about loss but about efficiency. The body learns to rest effectively even as traditional sleep patterns change, keeping daily life calm and sustainable. Over time, the body learns to recover with less total sleep while still maintaining health and alertness. This adaptation comes from years of experience, during which the nervous system, metabolism, and hormones optimize the use of available rest. Even if older adults sleep fewer hours, essential processes like tissue repair, memory consolidation, and immune support continue efficiently. The brain prioritizes important functions during each sleep cycle, ensuring that recovery happens when it matters most. This allows energy levels to remain steady, moods to stay balanced, and cognitive performance to remain reliable. Minor reductions in total sleep do not create major deficits because the body has learned how to maximize restorative processes. Older adults often wake feeling refreshed and capable, even with shorter nights. Aging in this sense is the body becoming smarter about recovery. By using less total sleep more effectively, the body maintains equilibrium, supporting calm energy, mental clarity, and overall resilience. Many older adults feel rested even with fewer hours of sleep, because the body and brain become more efficient at using each sleep cycle. Deep sleep, although shorter, becomes more focused and restorative, allowing essential repairs and memory consolidation to happen in less time. Light sleep periods and brief awakenings do not reduce overall recovery. Instead, they allow the body to process information, balance hormones, and stabilize energy more evenly across the night. The nervous system adapts to expect these changes, so waking moments feel normal and do not create lingering fatigue. Older adults also rely on experience to pace activity during the day, making energy use more efficient. This combination of optimized sleep cycles, distributed rest, and steady daytime routines explains why fewer hours of sleep do not necessarily mean feeling tired. The body becomes skilled at extracting maximum benefit from every moment of rest, quietly maintaining calm, focus, and alertness throughout the day. Circadian rhythms, the body's internal clock, stabilize over decades, contributing to smoother sleep and daily energy patterns. When people are younger, circadian rhythms can be irregular due to late nights, irregular schedules, or changing responsibilities. Over time, the body naturally adjusts to consistent wake and sleep times. Hormones like melatonin and cortisol release in predictable patterns, preparing the body to sleep at night and stay alert during the day. Stabilized circadian rhythms make sleep feel more restorative and energy more reliable. The brain anticipates daily cycles, allowing focus, mood, and body temperature to align with expected activity. This predictability reduces stress on the nervous system because the body does not have to adjust constantly to unexpected changes. A well-regulated circadian rhythm is one of the quiet ways the body maintains balance, helping older adults feel calm, focused, and ready for daily life. Predictability in life and body processes supports calm in the nervous system. When the brain knows what to expect, it can conserve energy and avoid unnecessary stress responses. Unexpected events trigger heightened alertness and hormone spikes, but repeated experiences and stable routines reduce these reactions. Over time, the body learns that most daily occurrences are safe and manageable, which prevents overreactions. Predictability also allows the mind to focus on meaningful tasks instead of constantly monitoring potential threats. This leads to steadier heart rate, calmer breathing, and reduced tension in muscles. Older adults often notice that routines feel comforting rather than restrictive. The brain can relax because it expects the flow of daily life, and the nervous system stays in a balanced state. Aging naturally enhances this effect, making predictable patterns a source of calm energy and mental stability. Routine becomes soothing rather than boring, because the brain learns to associate predictable activities with safety and reliability. Simple habits like morning coffee, a walk, or reading at night provide signals that the day is organized and manageable. When these routines are repeated, the nervous system anticipates them, reducing the need for constant vigilance. This anticipation lowers stress hormone activity and allows the mind to rest while performing familiar tasks. Older adults often find that repetition in daily life is relaxing, not monotonous, because it creates a sense of control and stability. The mind can focus on meaningful experiences or reflection instead of reacting to surprises. Even small routines become anchors in the day, supporting calm and mental clarity. Aging allows people to appreciate these repeated patterns as comforting structures rather than dull obligations, making life feel steady and quietly predictable. As people age, physical sensations and pain perception gradually change, even if it is not immediately noticeable. The body's nerves, muscles, and sensory systems slowly adjust how they send and process signals. Minor aches, pressure, or discomfort may feel different than they did in youth, and some sensations become less sharp or urgent. Aging does not remove the ability to feel pain, but it alters how the brain and nervous system respond to it. This change can make daily life feel less overwhelming, even as physical challenges increase. Older adults often notice that small irritations, like soreness from movement or brief discomfort, are easier to ignore. The body becomes more focused on sensations that are truly important or threatening, while less critical sensations fade into the background. This natural adaptation supports calm and balance, allowing people to continue daily activities without being constantly preoccupied by minor aches or discomforts, which helps maintain a sense of steady physical presence. Pain tolerance often increases with age, allowing the body and mind to handle discomfort more effectively. Over decades, repeated exposure to minor injuries, strains, or physical challenges teaches the nervous system how to cope. The body learns which sensations are temporary and non-threatening, reducing the intensity of pain signals that reach the brain. As a result, older adults often report feeling pain less sharply or reacting less strongly to it than younger people. This does not mean pain disappears, but it is experienced differently. Higher tolerance allows continued movement, activity, and participation in daily life without unnecessary distress. It also reduces the emotional impact of discomfort, because the mind understands that most aches are manageable. This increased tolerance is a subtle adaptation of aging, quietly helping the body and brain conserve energy and maintain calm. By perceiving pain more efficiently, older adults can navigate physical challenges with less stress and more confidence. The brain interprets discomfort differently over time, changing how physical sensations are experienced. When younger, the brain may react quickly and strongly to even minor pain, signaling alarm and drawing attention. As experience accumulates, the brain learns which sensations require action and which can be safely ignored. This filtering reduces the intensity of the perceived discomfort and prevents unnecessary stress responses. Even though the same physical stimulus occurs, older adults often feel it less urgently because the brain recognizes it as non-threatening. This interpretation also affects emotions. Pain does not trigger panic or extreme frustration as easily. The nervous system becomes more selective, focusing attention on meaningful or dangerous signals while letting minor aches pass quietly. This adaptation allows daily life to feel smoother and more manageable. Over time, the brain's ability to interpret discomfort efficiently becomes an invisible but important part of aging, helping maintain physical and emotional balance. Anticipation of pain decreases even when the sensation exists, because the brain has learned from past experiences that most discomforts are temporary and manageable. Younger people often tense up or worry before a painful experience, which can intensify the perception of pain. Older adults, however, have a history of dealing with similar sensations, so their brains send fewer alarm signals in advance. This reduced anticipation means the body remains calmer, muscles stay relaxed, and stress hormone release is lower. Even if the pain itself is present, it feels less overwhelming because the mind does not add extra fear or tension. This helps maintain focus and balance in daily life. By lowering anxiety about potential pain, the body experiences less overall stress and reacts more efficiently. Aging teaches the brain that not every discomfort is dangerous, allowing both mind and body to stay calmer and more resilient when sensations occur, supporting a steady, relaxed way of living. Experience teaches the body what is temporary, helping older adults respond to physical sensations more calmly. Over the years, people encounter aches, stiffness, minor injuries, and fatigue repeatedly. Each time, the body learns which sensations resolve on their own and which need attention. The nervous system notes that most discomforts are short-lived, allowing it to prioritize responses more efficiently. Instead of reacting to every twinge or ache, the body can conserve energy for situations that are truly urgent or harmful. This learned experience also informs the brain's emotional response, reducing worry and anticipation about minor physical sensations. By recognizing patterns over time, the mind and body work together to handle discomfort with less stress. This adaptation is subtle but powerful. It turns repeated experiences into a guide for understanding the body's signals, making aging feel steadier and less overwhelming, and allowing people to maintain activity and focus without unnecessary alarm. Fear of bodily sensations fades with familiarity because repeated exposure teaches the brain that most physical signals are not dangerous. Younger individuals often react strongly to new or unusual sensations, triggering alarm and tension. With time, the body and brain learn which feelings are normal, like temporary stiffness after exercise or mild soreness from movement. Familiarity reduces the mind's tendency to overreact or imagine worst-case scenarios. The nervous system becomes more selective, only responding urgently when a true threat exists. This process is reinforced with age as people repeatedly encounter minor physical challenges without serious consequences. As fear fades, the body remains relaxed, allowing sensations to be processed calmly. Older adults often report that aches or brief pains no longer worry them as they once did. This reduction in fear creates a sense of security and stability, enabling life to feel smoother and more predictable, even in the presence of normal physical changes. This reduction in fear and overreaction directly reduces anxiety-driven tension in the body. When the nervous system does not perceive minor sensations as threats, muscles remain relaxed, the heart rate stays steadier, and breathing is calmer. Stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol are released less often in response to trivial stimuli. This allows the body to focus energy on meaningful tasks rather than unnecessary defense. Over time, this creates a baseline of physical calm that supports both activity and rest. Mental tension also decreases because the mind is no longer preoccupied with potential pain or discomfort. The combination of experience, familiarity, and selective attention produces a subtle but constant sense of ease. Even when discomfort occurs, the body responds efficiently rather than reacting with full alarm. This adaptation is one reason aging can feel quieter and more balanced, helping older adults navigate daily life with less stress and more comfort. Calm acceptance of bodily sensations further lowers perceived discomfort. When the mind expects minor aches or fatigue as a normal part of life, it reduces resistance and struggle against the sensation. Resisting pain or worrying about it amplifies perception, making it feel stronger than it is. Acceptance allows the brain and nervous system to process the sensation without adding extra emotional intensity. Muscles relax, heart rate stabilizes, and stress hormone release decreases. Even when the body experiences real discomfort, the mind's measured response keeps it manageable. Older adults often report that acknowledging normal aches and allowing the body to respond naturally makes them feel less bothered overall. This calm approach creates a feedback loop. Less fear reduces tension, which in turn lowers the sensation's intensity. Aging teaches the body and mind that minor discomfort is temporary, manageable, and often inconsequential, supporting a balanced, resilient, and quietly peaceful physical state. As people age, breathing patterns often stabilize, which plays a surprising role in maintaining calm. Younger adults tend to have faster, shallower breaths during stress or daily activity, which can heighten tension in the body. Over time, the body naturally slows and deepens breathing. This slower rhythm allows the lungs to take in oxygen efficiently while reducing strain on the heart and nervous system. Stabilized breathing helps regulate internal systems, including heart rate, blood pressure, and stress hormone release. It also enhances the body's ability to stay calm during minor challenges or unexpected events. Many older adults notice they can remain steady in stressful situations without conscious effort, and this is partly due to natural changes in breathing patterns. Each inhale and exhale acts as a quiet signal to the nervous system that the body is safe. Breathing, often overlooked, becomes a core contributor to the subtle calm and balance that come with age. Slower breathing supports relaxation naturally because it signals the body to enter a restful state. When breaths are deep and measured, the nervous system receives cues that immediate action is not required, lowering adrenaline and cortisol levels. Muscles relax, the heart rate steadies, and the mind feels more at ease. Even without conscious effort, the body recognizes that slow, rhythmic breathing indicates safety and stability. Over decades, this adaptation becomes automatic, meaning older adults often remain calm during minor stressors without thinking about it. This natural relaxation supports emotional stability, efficient energy use, and steady focus throughout the day. The body essentially trains itself to use breathing as a tool for internal regulation. This is one reason why many older adults report feeling calmer, more centered, and less reactive to daily pressures. Aging teaches the body how to maintain peace internally, even when the world around it is unpredictable. Social perception and relationships also change with age, reflecting both experience and intentional choice. As people grow older, they become more aware of which connections bring energy, joy, and support, and which are draining or unnecessary. The brain prioritizes relationships that are meaningful and mutually positive. This shift is not about isolation. It is about focusing on quality over quantity. Social circles become smaller but more fulfilling, allowing emotional energy to be spent wisely. Interactions with close friends or family provide comfort, validation, and shared understanding. Peripheral relationships or superficial acquaintances are gradually deprioritized because they require effort, but often do not contribute to well-being. Aging allows people to recognize who truly matters in their lives, making social interactions calmer and more rewarding. By narrowing focus intentionally, the brain reduces stress from unnecessary obligations while enhancing the emotional benefits of deep, supportive connections. Intentional narrowing of social circles reduces stress and improves emotional stability. Fewer, more meaningful relationships allow people to invest attention and care where it matters most. The brain no longer wastes energy managing superficial interactions or dealing with social conflicts that offer little value. Instead, focus is directed toward connections that provide understanding, support, and enjoyment. This selective approach improves communication, strengthens trust, and fosters emotional resilience. Older adults often report feeling more content with their social life, even though they interact with fewer people. The quality of relationships matters more than the quantity. Emotional energy is conserved, allowing the nervous system to stay calm and responsive rather than overextended. Aging teaches the value of focusing on people who enrich life and letting go of relationships that drain energy. This process supports mental clarity, reduces social anxiety, and reinforces a sense of control, contributing to overall calm, balance, and satisfaction in daily life. Fewer relationships often feel more satisfying as people age because each connection receives more attention, care, and presence. When social circles are smaller, interactions become deeper and more meaningful. Conversations are focused on shared experiences, mutual understanding, and emotional support rather than superficial topics. This concentrated attention allows relationships to strengthen naturally, creating a sense of closeness and trust. Older adults often feel that these interactions are more rewarding than the quantity of connections they had in younger years. Emotional energy is not spread thin across numerous acquaintances, but invested where it matters most. This selective approach leads to richer experiences, a sense of belonging, and reduced social fatigue. By focusing on fewer relationships, the brain and body conserve energy while maximizing emotional satisfaction. Life feels less complicated, and social interactions become calmer, warmer, and more fulfilling, highlighting one of the subtle advantages of aging: quality over quantity. Emotional investment becomes more selective with age because experience teaches the brain where care and attention are most valuable. Younger people may try to maintain many relationships, invest in every friendship, or react to every social expectation. Over time, the brain learns which connections contribute to well-being and which create stress or drain energy. Emotional effort is therefore reserved for relationships that provide mutual support, understanding, and meaningful interaction. This selective approach allows older adults to give more fully to fewer people, strengthening bonds and creating deeper satisfaction. The mind no longer reacts strongly to every social nuance or perceived slight, conserving energy for interactions that matter. By focusing emotional investment strategically, older adults experience less stress, more joy, and a clearer sense of connection. Aging teaches the value of measured attention, creating relationships that feel richer, calmer, and more fulfilling than the endless social juggling often seen in younger years. Social comparison naturally reduces with age, changing how people perceive themselves and others. Younger adults often measure success, appearance, or achievement against peers, creating stress and self-doubt. Over decades, the brain gains perspective, understanding that life is unique for each individual. Experiences, values, and personal history become more meaningful than external benchmarks. As a result, older adults care less about competing with others or matching societal expectations. Social comparison loses its power because the brain recognizes that it rarely improves well-being or happiness. Emotional energy previously spent on envy, rivalry, or self-judgment is redirected toward personal growth, meaningful relationships, and internal satisfaction. This shift reduces anxiety, tension, and unnecessary stress, allowing life to feel more authentic and balanced. Aging, in this way, teaches a natural detachment from social pressures, supporting emotional calm and focus on what truly matters. Comparison loses psychological value over time because repeated life experiences reveal its futility. Achievements, possessions, or appearance may provide temporary satisfaction, but they rarely create lasting happiness. Older adults have witnessed that life circumstances vary greatly, and attempting to keep up with others often leads to frustration and wasted energy. Instead, the brain begins to measure progress, satisfaction, and identity internally rather than externally. Emotional energy is spent on personal well-being, meaningful work, and close relationships rather than competing or worrying about others' opinions. This internal focus reduces anxiety, jealousy, and stress, allowing a calmer mental state. Life becomes more about personal meaning than societal benchmarks. The brain naturally prioritizes internal satisfaction because it is more reliable and sustainable than comparison. As a result, older adults often report greater contentment and less pressure to conform, highlighting how aging refines priorities and promotes emotional peace in everyday life. Self-worth gradually detaches from external validation as people age, creating a more stable sense of confidence. In younger years, approval from others, praise, recognition, or comparison can strongly influence how someone feels about themselves. Over decades, experience teaches the brain that external opinions are often inconsistent, temporary, or irrelevant to personal value. Older adults rely more on internal measures: integrity, accomplishments, relationships, and personal growth. This internal sense of worth is steady and less dependent on fluctuating social feedback. As a result, emotions become less reactive to criticism or praise, and self-esteem remains consistent even when external circumstances change. The mind recognizes that worth is built over time through action, understanding, and experience, not through fleeting approval. Aging, therefore, naturally fosters a calmer internal perspective, reducing the need for constant reassurance and creating a more grounded, self-sufficient sense of confidence that quietly supports mental stability. As self-worth becomes less tied to others' opinions, the internal dialogue becomes quieter and less stressful. Younger adults often replay social interactions, worry about judgment, or anticipate approval, which keeps the mind constantly active and sometimes anxious. With age, because external validation matters less, the brain does not overanalyze or obsess over minor social cues. Thoughts about reputation or comparison fade, reducing mental noise. This quieter inner dialogue allows the mind to focus on meaningful reflection, problem solving, and emotional regulation. Daily life feels calmer because internal chatter is reduced and emotional responses are less reactive. Older adults often notice they feel lighter mentally, as though unnecessary worry has been removed. This shift supports clarity, focus, and a sense of peace. Aging helps the mind conserve energy that was once spent on external pressures, creating a mental environment where calm and stability naturally prevail. Communication becomes more direct and less draining as people age, benefiting both personal and social interactions. Experience teaches which words and approaches are effective and which conversations waste energy. Older adults often speak more clearly about their needs, boundaries, and perspectives because they understand themselves and others better. They are less concerned with pleasing everyone or avoiding conflict unnecessarily, which reduces emotional strain. This directness saves energy and prevents misunderstandings that might otherwise cause tension. People also become better at listening, knowing when to respond, and when silence is more appropriate. Conversations are often more efficient and meaningful, leaving emotional energy intact rather than depleted. This skill comes from years of navigating social situations and learning how to communicate without unnecessary complexity. Aging allows interactions to feel smoother, more authentic, and less emotionally exhausting, supporting calmer relationships and balanced social engagement. Emotional misunderstandings decrease with experience because the brain learns to interpret intentions, expressions, and cues more accurately. Over decades, repeated interactions teach subtle patterns in how people communicate, helping the mind predict reactions and meanings without overreacting. Older adults are often better at reading tone, body language, and context, allowing them to respond appropriately instead of impulsively. They also learn which issues are worth addressing and which can be safely ignored, reducing conflict and unnecessary stress. This ability is not innate but develops through repeated social observation and reflection. By anticipating how situations will unfold, emotional responses become measured, reducing tension in relationships. Misunderstandings that would have caused anxiety or irritation in youth are less likely to provoke strong reactions. Aging strengthens emotional intelligence, making social interactions smoother and more predictable. This reduces stress, conserves energy, and supports calm, balanced engagement with others in everyday life. As people age, their perception of time gradually changes, creating a sense that life is passing more quickly. This shift is not just a feeling, it reflects how the brain processes experiences. Younger people encounter many new situations, requiring more attention and mental effort, which makes time feel slower because each moment is fully noticed. Over decades, repeated experiences allow the brain to recognize patterns, categorize events efficiently, and predict outcomes with less effort. The mind is no longer absorbing every detail as intensely as before, so sequences of events feel shorter. This acceleration is a natural effect of accumulated knowledge and experience. While the calendar days remain the same, subjective experience of time seems to speed up because the brain processes routine and familiar events more efficiently. Aging does not reduce awareness. It reorganizes perception, allowing life to feel continuous, smooth, and surprisingly rapid, reflecting the brain's efficiency in handling repeated patterns. Time feels faster as pattern recognition improves because the brain can anticipate sequences and outcomes with minimal effort. When situations are familiar, the mind quickly interprets them, reducing the sense of novelty that slows perception. For example, daily routines like commuting, shopping, or work tasks are recognized instantly, and the brain does not need to dedicate full attention to each moment. This efficiency makes hours, days, and even weeks feel like they pass quickly. Familiar experiences require fewer cognitive resources, so attention is focused on meaningful or unexpected events instead. The brain's ability to detect patterns and predict outcomes also reduces stress, as surprises are less frequent and easier to manage. This sense of faster time is a byproduct of efficiency, showing that the mind can operate effectively with less effort while maintaining clarity and calm. Aging enhances this skill, allowing life to feel more seamless and fluid, even as the subjective pace quickens. Predictability reduces mental effort because the brain spends less energy processing events it has seen many times. When outcomes are expected, attention can shift from active problem solving to passive observation, conserving cognitive resources. Older adults experience this in daily routines, like navigating familiar routes, performing tasks at work or home, or managing predictable social interactions. Because the brain can anticipate what comes next, it reacts with less stress and fewer emotional spikes. This efficiency frees mental energy for reflection, meaningful decisions, or creative thinking. Predictability also reduces the cognitive load caused by constantly assessing risks, learning new information, or adjusting to surprises. The nervous system benefits too, as fewer alarms and tension responses are triggered. Over time, this reliance on pattern recognition and stable routines supports a calmer, more measured approach to life. Aging allows the mind to work smarter, not harder, making daily experiences less mentally taxing and more peaceful. Reduced novelty lowers cognitive strain because the brain no longer needs to process every detail or analyze every situation deeply. When experiences are familiar, the mind can operate automatically, relying on memory and learned patterns rather than intensive problem solving. This reduces fatigue, improves focus on important tasks, and allows for a sense of mental ease throughout the day. While new experiences require heightened attention and stress the nervous system, familiar patterns create comfort and efficiency. Older adults notice that predictable tasks, routines, and environments feel effortless, even if physical or mental abilities have slightly changed. This reduction in cognitive strain supports overall calm, steady thinking, and emotional stability. Aging teaches the brain to distinguish between moments that require effort and those that do not. By minimizing unnecessary cognitive load, life feels smoother, more manageable, and less exhausting, allowing attention and energy to be devoted to what truly matters. The brain becomes an expert at conserving effort while navigating daily life. The way aging streamlines cognitive effort contributes to a feeling of smooth time flow throughout daily life. Because the brain can recognize patterns, predict outcomes, and rely on experience, events feel less fragmented and more continuous. Tasks, routines, and interactions progress naturally, without the constant mental interruptions that younger people often experience while learning, adjusting, or worrying. This continuity gives a sensation that time is moving evenly rather than in jolts of intense focus and distraction. Older adults often describe their days as flowing or settling into rhythm, which reflects the brain's ability to process familiar information efficiently. Each activity connects logically to the next, creating a seamless progression. The mind is not overtaxed by novelty or constant decision-making, allowing awareness to remain steady. This smooth flow of time supports emotional calm, reduces mental fatigue, and enhances a sense of life being coherent and manageable, quietly shaping the peaceful rhythm that often accompanies aging. Fewer mental interruptions with age feel restful because the brain is no longer constantly diverted by unimportant details or minor surprises. In youth, attention is frequently pulled in multiple directions: work tasks, social expectations, news, or minor concerns, which creates stress and mental clutter. Over time, experience teaches the brain to filter what truly matters, ignoring distractions that do not impact well-being or goals. As a result, thoughts feel clearer and more focused, allowing the mind to relax. Older adults notice that even when the environment is busy, internal calm is maintained because cognitive energy is reserved for essential matters. This lack of mental interruption reduces tension in the nervous system and lowers stress hormone levels. Rest feels more natural, and the mind can enter reflective or peaceful states more easily. Aging enhances this filtering process, creating a quieter mental environment where attention, energy, and emotion are more stable, producing a sense of calm continuity in daily life. Aging reduces the pressure to optimize every moment because the brain and mind learn that perfection and efficiency are not always necessary for satisfaction. Younger people often feel urgency to use time correctly, maximize productivity, or achieve outcomes as fast as possible, creating internal stress. With age, priorities shift. Experience teaches that small inefficiencies, delays, or minor mistakes rarely have lasting consequences. The mind becomes more accepting of imperfection, focusing on meaningful moments rather than constant optimization. This reduction in pressure allows energy to be conserved and attention to be directed toward enjoyable, important, or fulfilling activities. Older adults often report feeling less rushed and more capable of pacing themselves without anxiety. Life feels calmer, slower, and richer because the brain no longer interprets every second as something to manage or fix. Aging transforms the experience of time from a source of stress into a resource for steady, reflective, and satisfying living. Presence naturally replaces urgency with age because the mind is less preoccupied with the future or unachieved tasks. Younger adults often operate under constant pressure, thinking ahead or worrying about what comes next, which creates mental tension and a sense of hurry. Older adults, benefiting from experience and accumulated knowledge, focus more on the current moment, appreciating what is happening now rather than fixating on what must be done. This awareness allows life to be experienced fully, calmly, and intentionally. The nervous system responds by staying relaxed, reducing stress responses triggered by imagined future threats or time pressure. Being present does not mean ignoring responsibilities. It means engaging with them thoughtfully rather than frantically. This shift from urgency to presence supports emotional stability, mental clarity, and a smoother flow of daily life. Aging teaches the brain to prioritize awareness over haste, allowing moments to be experienced with calm attention rather than constant worry or rush. Aging rewards patience biologically, showing that the body and mind are wired to benefit from slower, measured approaches. Over decades, repeated experiences teach the brain that immediate results are rare, and that thoughtful action often yields better outcomes. This learning influences neural pathways, making delayed gratification feel more natural and less stressful. The nervous system adapts to long-term processes, such as health management, relationships, or problem solving, by reducing tension during waiting periods. Hormones like cortisol, which spike in impatience or anxiety, are less reactive to minor delays, helping the body remain calm. Older adults often notice that waiting for events, responses, or results is easier than it once was, allowing decision-making and planning to proceed with steadier energy. Patience becomes a subtle advantage of aging, allowing the mind and body to operate efficiently and without unnecessary stress. Over time, the ability to tolerate delays quietly supports emotional balance and a calmer approach to life's natural rhythms. Waiting becomes less stressful neurologically because the brain has learned to interpret delays as manageable rather than threatening. Younger adults often experience heightened nervous system activity during waiting, triggering stress responses such as faster heart rate, shallow breathing, and anxious thoughts. With age, repeated exposure to situations that require waiting teaches the brain that most delays are temporary and safe. Neural pathways adapt to this pattern, reducing overreaction and promoting calm during periods of inactivity. Hormonal responses, including the release of stress-related chemicals, are moderated, keeping the body more relaxed. Older adults often report feeling less agitation or impatience in queues, traffic, or uncertain situations, demonstrating the brain's learned tolerance. This reduced stress frees mental energy for reflection, decision-making, or meaningful engagement in other activities. Aging trains the nervous system to interpret waiting as neutral or even beneficial, supporting emotional resilience and a steady, calm approach to life's natural pauses. Purpose and meaning naturally shift with age, guiding attention and energy in subtle ways. While younger adults often focus on external achievements, recognition, or milestones, older adults begin to prioritize what sustains well-being, relationships, and personal fulfillment. The brain reassesses what is truly important, emphasizing long-term contentment over immediate success. Emotional and cognitive resources are directed toward activities that reinforce identity, maintain health, and nurture meaningful connections. Daily actions, small routines, and reliable habits acquire significance because they support overall stability and a sense of continuity. This realignment helps reduce stress associated with chasing new goals constantly, replacing it with satisfaction from maintaining balance. Aging reshapes purpose to value quality of life, internal growth, and meaningful engagement rather than external accolades. The mind quietly recalibrates priorities, creating a sense of direction that is steady, manageable, and deeply connected to lived experience. Goals shift from achievement to maintenance as people age, reflecting the brain's emphasis on sustainability over accumulation. Earlier in life, objectives often center on acquiring status, possessions, or milestones, which require constant effort and generate pressure. Over time, the focus transitions to preserving health, relationships, skills, and emotional stability. The brain recognizes that maintaining what has been built is often more rewarding and less stressful than constantly chasing new accomplishments. Daily routines, habits, and responsibilities become more intentional because they support continued well-being. This shift reduces anxiety about failure or competition, allowing energy to be invested in meaningful, manageable pursuits. Older adults often report a sense of satisfaction from keeping life balanced, functional, and connected, rather than achieving more external accolades. Aging teaches that long-term contentment often comes from sustaining stability, relationships, and personal growth, rather than relentless pursuit, creating a quieter, more fulfilled approach to purpose and life goals. Maintaining stability feels rewarding because it provides a sense of control and balance that the brain recognizes as beneficial. Over time, people learn that keeping routines, relationships, health, and habits steady reduces stress and prevents unnecessary surprises. Each day that goes smoothly reinforces a quiet sense of accomplishment, even if nothing extraordinary happens. The brain registers this consistency as positive, rewarding steady effort with a feeling of calm satisfaction. Stability allows focus on meaningful experiences without the constant worry of fixing problems or catching up on lost ground. Older adults often notice that small achievements, like completing daily tasks, supporting loved ones, or keeping life organized, bring satisfaction that feels deeper than the excitement of novelty. This reward comes from internal recognition of competence and resilience. Aging enhances the brain's appreciation for consistency, showing that maintaining stability is not mundane. It is inherently fulfilling and supports emotional balance, mental clarity, and steady energy throughout life. The brain releases satisfaction from completion rather than novelty as people age, shifting what feels rewarding. While younger adults often seek excitement from new experiences or achievements, older adults experience more fulfillment from finishing tasks or maintaining ongoing projects. Completing a routine, resolving a small challenge, or sustaining a meaningful habit triggers the brain's reward system, creating dopamine release and a sense of accomplishment. This effect is reinforced over decades, teaching the mind that follow-through and reliability are valuable. Novelty still provides interest, but the deep sense of satisfaction comes from consistency, responsibility, and seeing efforts through to the end. Older adults notice that checking off a task, nurturing a relationship, or finishing a personal project can bring more contentment than starting something new. Aging teaches that the feeling of completion, continuity, and purposeful engagement provides lasting reward, strengthening motivation while supporting calm, stable emotional states. Usefulness becomes internal rather than external with age, meaning that the brain derives satisfaction from feeling capable rather than receiving recognition. Younger adults often measure contribution by external markers, praise, approval, or visibility. Over decades, repeated experience teaches the brain that internal competence, being able to solve problems, support others, and manage life effectively, provides more reliable and consistent satisfaction. This internal sense of usefulness reduces dependence on others' opinions and prevents emotional fluctuation caused by inconsistent feedback. Older adults notice that knowing they are capable, competent, and helpful is itself rewarding. This shift encourages self-confidence, calmness, and emotional resilience. Aging strengthens the brain's ability to derive satisfaction from internal measures of purpose and effectiveness. Life feels meaningful even without public recognition, because the mind has learned to value intrinsic contribution, showing that usefulness is a quiet, reliable source of fulfillment that sustains mental and emotional balance. Self-approval becomes more reliable than praise because the brain learns over decades that external feedback is inconsistent and often irrelevant. Younger people may feel elated or deflated depending on what others say or think, making emotions dependent on factors outside their control. With age, experience teaches that personal judgment, reflection, and understanding of one's efforts provide a steadier measure of worth. The brain internalizes this pattern, releasing reward chemicals when actions align with values, competence, and responsibility, independent of recognition. Older adults often feel proud of accomplishments, choices, or daily contributions regardless of external acknowledgement. This internal approval supports emotional stability, resilience, and confidence. By relying on self-assessment rather than fluctuating social validation, the mind avoids unnecessary stress and anxiety. Aging creates a reliable internal barometer of satisfaction, helping people feel accomplished, capable, and content. Life becomes less dependent on outside praise, allowing calm, self-sufficient, and consistent emotional well-being. Meaning becomes less fragile with age because the brain and mind develop a deeper sense of what truly matters. In youth, purpose and fulfillment can feel dependent on external events, achievements, or approval, which can change rapidly and leave the mind feeling unsettled. Over decades, repeated experiences and reflection allow older adults to anchor meaning in lasting values, relationships, and personal growth. This stability makes purpose more resilient to setbacks, losses, or changes in circumstance. Even when life becomes unpredictable or challenging, older adults often maintain a sense of direction and satisfaction because meaning is rooted internally rather than in fleeting external factors. The brain reinforces these connections over time, recognizing patterns that contribute to long-term well-being. This internalized sense of significance allows emotional and mental energy to be used efficiently, reducing worry and enhancing calm. Aging teaches that meaning, once solidified through experience, is a reliable source of stability, supporting confidence, fulfillment, and quiet resilience in daily life. This stability in meaning reduces existential anxiety because the mind no longer needs constant reassurance about life's purpose or direction. Younger adults often experience anxiety when achievements, relationships, or external circumstances fail to provide a clear sense of worth. With age, accumulated experience shows that setbacks, changes, and uncertainty are manageable, and that core values, personal identity, and meaningful connections endure despite external shifts. The brain recognizes these patterns, calming stress responses that might otherwise trigger fear about mortality, loss, or irrelevance. Older adults often feel a steady emotional base, understanding that life has inherent value and that their role and contributions matter even without constant validation. This enduring stability reduces existential worry and allows focus on the present and manageable goals. Aging builds a foundation of internal meaning that provides psychological security, making life feel purposeful, balanced, and resilient even in the face of uncertainty. Acceptance grows through repeated resolution of fears because each challenge, disappointment, or anxious moment provides learning opportunities. The brain observes that many fears, once confronted, resolve without catastrophe, teaching the nervous system to respond with less panic over time. Older adults recognize patterns in their reactions, understanding which worries are meaningful and which are unnecessary. This repeated exposure and successful navigation builds confidence and calm, strengthening emotional resilience. Over time, acceptance becomes automatic. The mind anticipates that difficulties can be managed, mistakes are survivable, and uncertainty is tolerable. This growth reduces anxiety, prevents overreaction, and allows focus on constructive actions rather than rumination. Aging teaches the brain to integrate experience into wisdom, making fear a guide rather than a source of constant stress. By confronting and resolving uncertainties repeatedly, life becomes more predictable, emotionally balanced, and manageable, creating a foundation of calm understanding. Fewer unknowns mean fewer worries, because the brain has experienced most situations multiple times and learned how to anticipate outcomes. Younger adults often worry because events are unfamiliar, consequences are uncertain, and the mind must constantly evaluate risks. With age, repeated exposure to life's patterns allows predictions to be made with confidence, reducing the energy spent on fear or overthinking. Daily challenges, social interactions, and even minor inconveniences become easier to manage because the brain recognizes what to expect. This familiarity reduces cognitive load and stress, as the nervous system is less likely to trigger alarms unnecessarily. Older adults often report feeling calmer, more in control, and less anxious about routine or even unusual circumstances. By minimizing the number of unknowns and uncertainties, aging allows the mind to focus on meaningful tasks and relationships, supporting emotional stability, steady attention, and a quiet, confident approach to life. As people age, the body develops a form of long-term intelligence, showing that it learns from years of experience. Every cell, tissue, and organ accumulates information about what challenges are frequent and which responses are most effective. The nervous system, muscles, and immune system adapt based on repeated exposure to physical and environmental stressors. This long-term intelligence allows the body to conserve energy, focus on what is necessary, and avoid unnecessary reactions. For example, minor infections, small injuries, or temporary stressors no longer trigger full-scale alarms, because the body recognizes patterns and adapts accordingly. Older adults often notice that despite some slowing of functions, the body responds more efficiently and deliberately than in youth. The accumulated wisdom of decades creates a balance between responsiveness and preservation, helping maintain stability, energy, and calm. Aging teaches the body to act with quiet precision, turning experience into subtle intelligence that governs daily functioning and resilience. The immune system becomes more selective with age, refining its ability to respond only when needed. In youth, the immune system often reacts strongly to a wide range of stimuli, sometimes overreacting to minor irritations or harmless substances. Over decades, it learns which threats are genuine and which are inconsequential. This selectivity reduces unnecessary energy expenditure and prevents constant immune activation that can be taxing on the body. Older adults often experience fewer exaggerated immune responses, meaning minor infections or irritations are less likely to provoke extreme reactions. The brain and immune system communicate, using past experiences to target defense mechanisms precisely. This selectivity maintains protection against serious threats while conserving resources. Aging strengthens the body's capacity for thoughtful, measured defense rather than indiscriminate action, ensuring that energy and resilience are preserved. The immune system becomes a refined instrument of long-term survival, learning from the body's accumulated experience. Overreaction decreases while targeted responses improve because the body and brain learn from repeated challenges. In youth, the nervous system and immune system may respond strongly to minor stressors or irritations, triggering unnecessary alarm, inflammation, or fatigue. With age, repeated exposure teaches the body to evaluate threats more accurately. Responses become precise, engaging only when necessary and reducing collateral energy loss. For instance, the body may respond quickly to a serious infection, but remain calm during minor cuts or environmental irritants. The nervous system mirrors this pattern by reducing exaggerated stress responses, while the immune system targets invaders more efficiently. This balance between restraint and precision allows older adults to maintain energy, reduce chronic stress, and recover faster from challenges. Aging creates a smarter system that no longer reacts impulsively, but rather acts thoughtfully, demonstrating the quiet intelligence of a body tuned by experience and necessity. Inflammation patterns change with age because the body learns to manage threats more selectively. In youth, inflammation can spike quickly in response to minor irritations, sometimes causing unnecessary swelling or discomfort. Over decades, the immune system and nervous system coordinate to control these responses more effectively, preventing overreaction while still protecting the body. Chronic low-level inflammation may appear in some areas due to age-related processes, but acute responses to genuine threats become targeted and efficient. This shift helps conserve energy, reduces tissue damage, and maintains overall stability. Older adults often notice that soreness, minor injuries, or mild infections feel less disruptive, even if inflammation still occurs in controlled ways. Aging teaches the body to balance defense and preservation, ensuring that protective mechanisms are engaged intelligently rather than indiscriminately. By refining inflammation patterns, the body reduces unnecessary stress and supports steady health, energy, and resilience. As the body ages, it begins to prioritize essential systems, focusing energy and resources on functions that sustain life and well-being. Vital organs such as the heart, lungs, brain, and kidneys take precedence, while less critical systems receive proportionally less energy. This prioritization is not conscious, but an automatic adaptation developed over decades of experience and survival. The nervous system, immune system, and metabolic processes all coordinate to ensure that core functions remain stable, even if other processes slow down. For example, muscle strength may decrease slightly, but heart function or brain regulation remains steady to maintain overall life quality. By concentrating on what truly matters, the body conserves energy, reduces unnecessary wear, and avoids overextending itself on minor demands. This natural prioritization allows older adults to remain functional and resilient, even if they operate at a calmer pace. Aging teaches the body to focus on survival and stability, demonstrating the quiet wisdom of decades of experience. Efficiency replaces excess because the body learns that rapid or excessive responses consume unnecessary energy and increase wear over time. Younger bodies often respond with maximum force, speed, or intensity, which is useful in emergencies, but taxing when applied continuously. With age, systems adjust to operate at the level needed for stability and safety, reducing wasteful overactivity. The heart beats at an efficient pace, metabolism runs steadily rather than explosively, and the nervous system reacts with measured precision. These changes minimize stress, prevent damage, and ensure that energy reserves are preserved for essential functions. Older adults often notice that life feels smoother and less physically demanding, even if they are slower or less reactive. This shift toward efficiency allows the body to function reliably for decades, turning careful resource management into a key advantage of aging. Aging transforms energy use from maximum output toward sustainable balance, supporting health and resilience. This focus on efficiency supports longevity rather than speed because the body is built to last rather than perform at peak intensity constantly. Rapid or extreme responses are useful in youth for learning, exploration, and survival, but over time they increase wear and tear on tissues, joints, and organs. Slower, more precise operations reduce fatigue, prevent injury, and allow the body to maintain function for longer periods. Vital systems such as the heart, brain, and kidneys benefit from this balance, remaining stable while less critical processes slow. Older adults often notice they can maintain activity and independence well into advanced age, even if they move or react more slowly. By emphasizing longevity over speed, the body trades temporary bursts of power for long-term resilience. Aging teaches that lasting stability, calm, and reliable function are more valuable than immediate intensity, showing that slower, efficient systems create a life that endures and supports steady well-being. Slower systems last longer because they experience less strain over time, conserving both energy and structural integrity. Rapid or extreme activity accelerates wear on muscles, joints, and organs, increasing the risk of injury or fatigue. As the body prioritizes efficiency, movement, circulation, and neural signaling slow, just enough to reduce stress without compromising effectiveness. This controlled pace prevents unnecessary breakdowns and allows systems to repair and maintain themselves more successfully. Older adults often find that despite slower reflexes or metabolism, they feel steadier and recover more predictably from challenges. The nervous system, cardiovascular system, and metabolic processes all benefit from this moderated rhythm, extending their functional lifespan. Aging teaches that longevity is supported not by speed or intensity, but by careful balance, energy conservation, and precise operation. Slower systems are more sustainable, giving the body resilience and durability that allow life to continue with stability, health, and quiet efficiency. Aging can be seen as the body learning sustainability, showing that decades of experience teach systems how to use energy wisely. Over time, the heart, lungs, muscles, metabolism, and nervous system all adjust to function effectively without wasting resources. Excessive reactions, unnecessary speed, and constant overexertion are replaced by measured, efficient responses. The immune system targets threats precisely. The nervous system responds calmly, and daily routines are managed with minimal energy expenditure. This approach allows the body to last longer, recover more predictably, and maintain overall balance. Older adults often notice that life feels smoother, less chaotic, and easier to manage, even when challenges arise. Sustainability means that the body is not trying to maximize output at every moment, but instead focuses on consistent, reliable operation. Aging teaches systems to work in harmony over long periods, conserving energy while supporting health, calm, and steady functionality. The result is a body that operates with quiet intelligence, designed to endure. Sustainability feels calm because the body and brain no longer react impulsively to every small demand or stressor. When energy is managed carefully and systems operate efficiently, tension and fatigue decrease naturally. Stress responses are moderated, and attention can be focused on what truly matters rather than constantly correcting errors or reacting to minor disturbances. Breathing, heart rate, and hormonal responses stabilize, producing a sense of internal balance. Older adults often experience this calm as a natural byproduct of years of adaptation and learned efficiency. Every movement, thought, and action requires less mental and physical energy, allowing the mind and body to rest even while active. Sustainability replaces urgency with measured control, making life feel less taxing and more manageable. Aging teaches that lasting calm is not achieved through inaction, but through smart allocation of energy, steady operation, and recognition of what is essential. The result is a quiet, enduring sense of well-being. Aging can also be reframed as accumulated learning, highlighting that each year adds knowledge, experience, and insight that shape both mind and body. Life becomes a record of patterns recognized, mistakes navigated, challenges overcome, and skills refined. The brain integrates these lessons into decision-making, emotional regulation, and problem-solving, while the body adjusts systems to respond efficiently. Older adults often notice that situations which once caused stress now feel familiar, predictable, or manageable. This accumulated learning reduces unnecessary worry and allows energy to be spent on meaningful activities. Every year contributes to a repository of internal guidance, helping navigate life with less trial and error. Aging is therefore not just about physical change, but also about developing wisdom, resilience, and perspective. It transforms challenges into opportunities for efficiency, calm, and understanding, demonstrating that time itself is a teacher guiding both mind and body toward balance. Each year reduces uncertainty because repeated experience teaches the brain and body what to expect from life. Events, relationships, routines, and bodily responses become predictable, making it easier to navigate daily challenges. Younger adults often experience stress from the unknown, whether in social, professional, or personal contexts. Over decades, exposure to patterns, successes, and mistakes creates a sense of stability and confidence. The nervous system reacts less strongly to minor surprises, decision-making becomes more accurate, and emotional responses are steadier. Older adults often feel that life is more manageable, not because everything is predictable, but because they have learned how to respond effectively when unexpected situations arise. Uncertainty diminishes as experience accumulates, allowing the mind and body to conserve energy and maintain calm. Aging becomes a quiet teacher, showing that each year lived strengthens the ability to anticipate, adapt, and remain centered, turning time into both guide and ally for a balanced, serene life. Familiarity with life creates psychological safety because repeated experiences teach the brain what is normal, manageable, and predictable. Over decades, people encounter countless situations, challenges, and routines, learning which patterns are harmless and which require attention. This knowledge reduces uncertainty and allows the mind to anticipate outcomes with confidence. Daily routines, relationships, and familiar environments become anchors of stability, providing reassurance without conscious effort. Older adults often notice that life feels safer and more controlled, even when challenges arise, because their past experiences provide guidance. The nervous system responds by staying calmer, stress responses are less frequent, and emotional energy is conserved. This psychological safety forms a foundation for emotional and cognitive stability. Aging teaches the brain and body to rely on accumulated knowledge and repeated experience, making life feel more predictable. Familiarity becomes a source of comfort, allowing mental space for reflection, focus, and calm awareness, which enhances overall well-being and resilience. Psychological safety allows deeper relaxation because when the brain perceives stability and predictability, it reduces unnecessary tension and hypervigilance. In younger years, uncertainty or unfamiliar situations can trigger stress responses, including faster heart rate, shallow breathing, and heightened alertness. With age, repeated exposure to life's patterns teaches the nervous system which signals require attention and which do not. When the brain recognizes that outcomes are manageable, the body can enter a state of ease, allowing muscles to relax, breathing to slow, and mental chatter to settle. Older adults often experience a profound sense of calm during familiar routines or predictable environments because safety permits both mind and body to rest while still engaged in daily life. This deeper relaxation enhances recovery, supports emotional balance, and strengthens cognitive function. Aging naturally fosters this state, showing that confidence in life's predictability directly translates into physical and mental tranquility, creating a steady foundation for well-being. The body and mind gradually synchronize as experience and familiarity accumulate. Over decades, rhythms between nervous system activity, hormonal responses, sleep cycles, and daily routines begin to align naturally. The brain anticipates patterns, the heart maintains steady efficiency, and the body adjusts energy use to match predictable demands. Mental and physical states begin to operate in harmony, reducing conflict between intention and action. Older adults notice that movement, thought, and emotion feel more coordinated, even if speed or strength has changed. This synchronization supports smoother decision-making, calmer emotional responses, and less wasted energy on unnecessary tension. Aging teaches the brain and body to integrate experience into seamless functioning, creating a quiet rhythm where physiological and cognitive systems reinforce each other. The result is a steady, balanced state where life feels manageable, predictable, and comfortable, demonstrating the subtle intelligence that comes from years of adaptation. Resistance fades when patterns are understood because the brain no longer reacts strongly to familiar situations. In youth, unfamiliarity or uncertainty triggers stress, impulsive reactions, or mental friction as the mind evaluates risk and consequences. Over time, repeated exposure allows the brain to recognize which situations are safe, manageable, or predictable. When this understanding develops, both the nervous system and conscious thought processes operate smoothly, without unnecessary tension or struggle. Older adults often notice that tasks, interactions, or routines that once felt stressful now feel effortless and natural. Resistance, whether physical, mental, or emotional, diminishes because anticipation and knowledge replace doubt and uncertainty. Aging shows that understanding patterns reduces friction between intent and action, allowing energy to be directed toward meaningful engagement rather than managing fear or hesitation. Life becomes calmer, more harmonious, and less taxing, demonstrating how accumulated experience transforms resistance into steady, effortless functioning. Aging can be described as the soft alignment of expectations and reality, where over time, the mind learns to adjust goals, desires, and interpretations to match what life actually provides. In youth, disappointment often arises because reality rarely aligns perfectly with expectations, causing stress, frustration, or urgency. As people grow older, repeated experiences teach the brain to anticipate limitations, appreciate stability, and focus on what is manageable and meaningful. This alignment does not mean giving up or becoming passive. Rather, it allows perception to match reality more closely, reducing constant tension between hopes and outcomes. Older adults notice that they feel more comfortable with how things unfold, responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Aging guides the mind and body toward this natural balance, where experiences, expectations, and abilities coexist in harmony. The process supports calm, steadiness, and clarity, showing that life can be approached with acceptance, patience, and quiet confidence. Alignment feels peaceful because the brain no longer expends energy resisting or correcting every mismatch between expectation and outcome. When reality and anticipation line up, the nervous system relaxes, stress hormones decrease, and mental tension eases naturally. This sense of congruence produces emotional stability, as moments of disappointment or surprise occur less often and are less intense. Older adults often experience days that feel smoother, more predictable, and emotionally calm, because the mind has learned which expectations to maintain and which to adjust. Peace comes from knowing what to focus on, what to let go of, and how to respond with measured attention. Aging teaches that tranquility arises not from controlling life completely, but from understanding patterns, embracing limits, and appreciating stability. This quiet alignment allows thought, emotion, and action to move in sync, producing a deep sense of rest and calm that can be felt even in everyday moments. Aging is not losing intensity, but losing friction, emphasizing that the slowing of certain processes does not mean diminishing engagement or vitality. In youth, energy is often expended inefficiently, with frequent stress, overreaction, and wasted effort creating friction between goals and reality. Over time, systems learn to operate efficiently, focusing on what matters most and letting go of unnecessary conflict or resistance. Older adults may move, think, or respond more slowly, but their actions are smoother, more deliberate, and less stressful. Emotional intensity can remain, but it is experienced with calm control rather than impulsive fluctuations. The brain and body have learned to allocate energy where it is most effective, reducing internal conflict. Aging transforms life from a series of high-friction struggles to a more coherent, steady rhythm, allowing presence, focus, and engagement to continue without wasted effort. This subtle refinement demonstrates that vitality is preserved, even as life becomes gentler, more balanced, and more manageable. This quiet process is already happening as the listener rests, even without active awareness. Every cell, every neural connection, every pattern of experience is gradually shaping the body and mind toward efficiency, calm, and harmony. Sleep, reflection, and daily routines all contribute to this continuous adaptation. Even as one breathes slowly and the body relaxes, the nervous system, immune system, and cognitive functions are learning to operate in balance, aligning expectations with reality, reducing stress, and prioritizing what truly matters. Aging unfolds gently, silently, and inevitably, preparing the mind and body to respond with steadiness, insight, and resilience. The listener can feel comfort in knowing that these processes are ongoing, nurturing calm, smooth functioning, and subtle wisdom. Without effort or urgency, life's natural rhythms are guiding both mind and body toward quiet mastery, ensuring that every moment, even during rest, contributes to a life of stability, presence, and enduring peace.